And you're live on YouTube.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. So we're going to start off with introductions, who we are, who we represent. So I'll start off. My name's Marie Hardy. I'm the chair at the moment of Sacre, and I'm a deputy head at Brampton Primary School. Now I'm going to pass over to Ed.
Hello, I'm Edward Foyle. I'm vice chair of Sacre. I'm a humanist on the Other Faiths panel.
Thank you. And Alicia.
Hi, I'm Alicia Lewis, and I run RE-ITE at UEL, and I'm on the teachers panel.
Thank you very much. Jo.
Hello everyone, I'm a teacher at St Stephen's School and I'm on the teachers panel.
Thank you. Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Heath and I am a deputy head teacher at Plashet School, secondary school, and I'm also on the teacher panel.
Thank you. Taranum.
Hello everyone, I'm Taranum from Ranelagh Primary School and I'm on the teacher panel.
Thank you very much. Reverend Christiana. Oh, I think you're just on mute. Thank you.
Yeah, that's better. Yes, I'm Christiana from Church of England, so I represent the faith team.
Thank you. And Ellen Kemp.
I'm Ellen Kemp. I'm a school governor and on the Church of England panel.
Thank you. Then we've got Pooja.
Hi everyone, my name is Pooja Kaur. I was previously on the teachers panel, but now that I teach in a different borough, I've been put on the Other Faiths panel representing the Sikh faith.
Brilliant, thank you. Asma?
Hi, I'm Asma Hussain and I represent...
Oh, you just muted yourself at the end, but I know you were saying that you were representing Shia Muslims.
Doesn't show that it's mute.
Okay, just flicked on and then flicked off again, but we've got you back.
Sorry.
Okay, Actor.
Yeah, hi everyone, my name's Akhtar Rauf and I'm representing the Muslim community, Sunni. Thank you.
Thank you. Charmin.
Hi everyone, I'm Charmin. I'm on the Other Faiths panel representing Sunni Muslim.
Thank you very much. And Yael?
Hi, my name is Yael Callahan and I'm a member of the panel representing the Jewish faith.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And Rakesh?
Evening, hello there. My name is Rakesh Sampler. I'm a police constable, Met Police faith officer for Newham.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And Aisha?
Hi, can you hear me? I'm in a noisy environment. I'm just outside. I'm Councillor Aisha Siddiqa from represent East Ham Ward, and yeah, I'm very pleased to be here at the meeting today, but only for a little while. I've actually got a family member in hospital right now, so we're just outside, but I'm here for a little while.
Oh, Thank you. We really appreciate your commitment, Aisha. Thank you.
Dedication.
Absolutely. Pushpa.
Sorry about that. I was trying to find the link on the laptop, but couldn't see it, so I had to join by phone anyway. Pushpa Makwana, I'm one of the ward councillors for Littlefoot Ward.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Joshua?
Hiya, Councillor Joshua Garfield for Stratford and Newham Ward, and for the purpose of Sacre, I happen to be Jewish.
Thank you. And Charlene? He's just sorting out her sound. Charlene's on our teachers panel.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I'm a bit late.
That's okay. Would you want to tell everyone which school you work at?
Well, I work at Kerwin Primary School in Plaza.
Very much. And then we have Claire Clinton.
I think you all know who I am, but anyone who is live streaming and watching, I'm Claire Clinton and I'm the religious education advisor, though in the newsletter to the head teachers today, apparently I'm now director of RE in Newham. I think they might have made a mistake, but it's quite nice to have a new title.
I would take it. I would take it. Excellent. And I can see that Anne is just about to join us as well. So we'll say welcome to her. Hello, Anne. We're just welcoming everybody and saying hello. Would you like to just tell us who you are and what you represent?
Yes, I'm Anne Easter. I'm a priest in the Church of England. I'm councillor for Canning Town North and the Commissioner for Interfaith Engagement for Newham.
Thank you. And Claire, have I missed anybody off? Just tell me who I've missed.
I don't think Rak has said hello. Have you, Rak? Rakesh?
Yeah.
I did, but I used his full name, which might be why you didn't.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
My fault.
That's all right. There was lots of people coming in. Brilliant. Thank you very much. We do appreciate everybody being here and for your time this evening. At about 7:10, which is in about 3 minutes, we're going to have our first presentation, which is from Kensington. So just before that, we'll see if we can get through any other bits. We're going to change some things around, aren't we, Claire, a little bit, including Kensington happening as soon as those people arrive. Everything else should pretty much follow the order of the agenda we have been given, apart from when Ross joins us. And when he joins us, we'll let him do his part, and then we'll let him go after that. Okay. I saw the message, Aisha. Thank you. We'll work out in the conversation afterwards if that's going to be impacting. Okay. So we have some apologies for absence, first of all. I've received apologies, obviously, from Alexia, from Reverend Rob Ryan, Gillian, Sacre, and that's it. Any other apologies that anyone is aware of, please? No? Okay, thank you very much. Next part is declarations of interest. So Aisha's obviously just talked about her connection with Kensington. If there are any other interests in relation to anything on our agenda, declare it now.
When it comes to us passing the Kensington look at how they want to do RE and how they've been trialling, they've been working with me, so it's not that I don't know what they've been doing, but we're now at the point to show you, and within our agreed syllabus we're allowed to give permission to schools to do things in slightly different ways, as long as they are meeting our aims of our agreed syllabus. So at that point Aisha can't vote. That's what it means, because she's part of it. But apart from that, it doesn't make any difference, does it, Aisha?
I can see that
Ross Patton's here, Marie.
Yes, I think we can admit him if that's okay. Thank you. Good evening, Ross.
Hi, how's it going? Sorry, I had some issues getting in, I think, with my internet connection, but I'm here now.
Good to see you. Thank you. Okay, and I can see that we've got Nana from Kensington has just joined us. And hopefully that means that her colleague is close behind. Nana, would you like to just introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are?
Hi, my name is Nana Stamji. I'm a teacher and also RE coordinator at Kensington Primary School in East Ham. So David Hope is my colleague, so he'll be joining us soon. He's also a member at Kensington Primary School. He's assistant head teacher there.
Thank you very much. And I'm assuming that it's David that's just joined us. Am I correct?
Yes.
Just on mute at the moment. But David, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody? You're still on mute at the moment.
There we go. Ignore. Thank you, Claire. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Hope. Ignore the stiff on the bottom of the screen there. It happens to be the wife's laptop, and I'm taking due care of the laptop. Assistant head teacher at Kensington Primary School, and it's probably all the grey follicles are showing on my head. I've been at the school for nearly 20 years now. And so the ravages of time are quite obvious. But we're obviously very excited about what we as a school are doing, both in terms of delivering the RE curriculum and also where we're going with the work that we have done and the work that we have accomplished so far. Certainly, we've done a lot of research over the past few years to make sure that we are still fully implementing the Sacre policy and expectations, and that there's still the coverage with the agreed curriculum content. We've been very fortunate to also be able to liaise with Claire Clinton, who has been fairly instrumental in ensuring that the content that we have dovetails with our own curriculum. I choose the word own cautiously, so it doesn't sound like we are on a different tangent or a different path altogether, because we are not. What we have done has been creative with how we are ensuring that the content that is covered across the objectives, across the areas of RE, are fitted in with other parts of our curriculum. For example, emotional health, things like tolerance, respect, acceptance for other beliefs, other backgrounds. With the dynamics and also the cultural diversity that we are, a very rich cultural diversity at Kensington Primary School, we also have a lot of dynamics and demographic changes, particularly over the past few years, where we've noticed influxes of other nationalities and other groups. And obviously, the timing between that, and particularly now with the whole pandemic that we are currently going through, with the lockdowns and everything else, I'm just very thankful that we were still able to deliver our coverage, and the emotional health aspects and links to the RE curriculum have been hugely beneficial for our children and the circumstances that a vast majority of our children face.
Thank you. So I wonder if you're going to, we've made you co-host. I think Antonella was going to make you co-host. So I don't know if you want to share anything or show anything to Sacre, but hopefully you'll be able to do that. That's a really good introduction to the reasons why Kensington has been developing its RE. And I think you're right, David. It's not that you're not meeting what you need to, but actually it's making it so it works for your school.
Absolutely. I might have to ask you to make our esteemed RE lead, Naina, I'm going to put her on the spot, because she'll have the PowerPoint presentation and everything, which will obviously clarify this, and she'll be able to go through this in further detail with you. And then obviously happily to share that. I also have to say it's also wonderful to see one of my fellow colleagues over here with Councillor Aisha Siddiqa in our presence here too, who's one of our Year 3 teachers, and she'll obviously also be able to, not that I'm going to put on the spot, but certainly an excellent and outstanding practitioner, and would know also the relevance and impact that our curriculum is having on our children, whilst still following and intertwined with the Sacre coverage and curriculum.
Thank you, David. Both you and Naina will be able to make a presentation if you need to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to share with you I'm going to share the overview with you first. Just trying to share screen.
No pressure, Naina.
Just to say as well, in our Sacre poetry competition, Naina has also sent in Kensington's entries for that Sacre. So, you know, just past the gold stars at this point. She's ahead of the deadline.
Thank you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yep. So this is our beliefs overview. So our RE overview. So at the top, we've got the big question, just like we had in the Newham agreed syllabus. And this row over here are the curriculum K, so our Kensington relearning that we would like the children to do, which we've developed. So underneath that are all the Newham agreed syllabus units, the same ones, the same way which we used to do it before. The only thing we've changed now is that teachers can decide which order they want to do it throughout the year, according to the theme that the children are learning, or if there's any events happening. So for example, if there was, for example, Diwali, the Diwali unit would be ideal to do around autumn 2 or autumn 1, depending on when it would fall. And then this learning, it happens throughout the units. So some units some of the Newham Agreed units lend themselves really well. So I've also put the units that they link with. So that could be done through there. We've got knowledge organizers for the curriculum case. So for example, the year 2 one, if we look at that, the key facts that we would like children to know throughout the year alongside the Newham Agreed syllabus units, the key questions they should be able to answer, and just key vocabulary we would like them to know, and a few examples like application ideas we would like children or teachers could do with the children. And then we've also got the Newham Agreed syllabus knowledge organizers for the unit. So teachers would ideally put the 2 knowledge organizers together and see best fit how they would link them in with the units that they are covering. So it's more of like an addition to the Newham Agreed syllabus units, more than anything. Then we've also got that, and we've also got fact files as well of the different religions. So we've got, that's if the children need to see it, or if the teachers need to see it, it's just basically information about the religion, sacred texts, places of worship, major festivals, and then show you the ones we've got. So the fact files that we have. So these are the fact files that we have for the different religions. And yeah, and these are the same syllabus, Newham Agreed syllabus units that the teachers follow when they're teaching the Newham ones. Yeah. That's about it, really.
I think just to add on to what Naina's presented, and this is where, of course, apart from the coverage, where we see other skills or opportunities. So, for example, with our themes that we have throughout the academic year, we've also have certain aspects called drivers, which include, for example, I'm just speaking holistically now, entrepreneurs or inventors or creators, investigators, and so forth. And so if they've been obviously learning about Rangoli patterns, then obviously we're looking at how that can be re-emphasized, revisited through some of the kind of tessellations in maths and shapes. We can look at that, for example, when it's entrepreneur skills and they're designing things. So it doesn't have to necessarily be standalone. There's a transferring of skills which underpins what we are trying to do as well. Of course, there's certain aspects of the RE curriculum that will always be standalone. If I'm learning about the Sikh morning prayer, the Mulmunta, for example, there are times that will need to be a specific aspect of it. But there'll be other parts of the curriculum where if they're learning about certain aspects, so for example, if they're learning about the story of Rama and Sita in Diwali, there'll be all the speaking and listening aspects. There'll be all the vocabulary that we have in our curriculum, which will link to that and support our children. There'll be what we use for colorful semantics to reinforce the RE content through the communication curriculum that we have. So the beauty of what we're doing is that it doesn't become just a one-off visit of coverage of that. If they're learning about the 5 pillars of Islam, and then if they're talking about things like Psalm or Zakat or Hajj or Shahadat, all different aspects of what we're doing are, like I say, are very much intertwined with curriculum content. So we're looking specifically where we can reinforce what they're learning, because a lot of the time the children, if you do something like say in the autumn term, autumn 1, by the time summer 2 comes, they might, in the old curriculum days, you might not revisit some of those aspects. So there's and the reason why that is so important is particularly with, like I mentioned earlier, with the change in demographics that we have got, an understanding and a revisiting for all parties to be concerned to understand where different norms, different values, the importance and significance of sacred items and the beliefs around that. So For us, it's a case of that we're embedding the RE content through other subjects, whether it be the emotional health aspect, whether it be parts of historical contexts, whether it be through the geographical contexts, whether it be through what's happened with modern British values. It becomes far broader than just being the standalone parts, even though, like I said earlier, there's certain aspects that will always remain standalone as part of the RE curriculum.
Fantastic, you two. Now, the thing I would like to say is it's not for nothing that this school was awarded School of the Year, and we don't sort of shout about it too much. You know, this school just gets on with doing its passionate teaching of their children. But I hope you can see how the reason I wanted particularly David and Naina to come was, one, so you could see what they're doing, but also those of you who are involved in our agreed syllabus rewrite, you will hear lots of things that we've already talked about and thought about, and there'll be more on that later, Sacre. But thank you so much, David and Naina. I'm going to let them go because they don't need to be here, and it's very good that they have come, and we will show you our appreciation. I will do a party popper, but other people will give you other signs, I'm sure. We like being a bit interactive here at Sacre. Oh yes, we've got rounds of applause there. That's great. There we are. All sorts of things happening. But thank you very much for your time. Thank you for talking us through. And we're going to carry on talking a little bit more, and I'll feed back to you both probably tomorrow or after half term, whenever we get there, but I'll give you some feedback.
That's absolutely fine, Claire, and thank you for the opportunity as well. And I think in closing from our part, you know, we're always open and receptive to you know, not just visitors, but also to see the impact that what we're doing as a school, how the difference it's making, and that includes what we, you know, we do with RE, but all the other subjects too. So if any one of the Sacre members wants to come to the school at any particular point to visit the school, see what we're doing, you know, by all means, let us know. We can all learn from each other. We're not the fountains of knowledge of everything, absolutely not. The whole point is, and that's part of the process that we've had with you too, Claire, and the you know, the amazing input that you've had to make sure that we are dovetailing what we're trying to do so well with what Sacre's content is.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Hopefully just one more day before David and Naina get to half term. So it's interesting, isn't it? Just looking at how we have allowed in our last agreed syllabus we've given schools a baseline of what to do, but do you remember we gave them that opt-out? We said, look, you can do it in a different way. Now, Kensington isn't opting out at all. You can see they're still doing the same coverage, but they're doing RE in a very different way from most of our schools. So Taranham and Charlene and Joe, what did you think? I'm going to some teachers first of all.
I think it's a great idea because it then opens up a lot more opportunities, isn't it, to have RE across other subjects too.
I think it's interesting that they started to do those fact files, and that was the thing that we were talking about, wasn't it? Was the next stage. We were thinking it more as teacher knowledge organisers around religions, and obviously a bit more information than they've got on their 2 slides. But you can see we're going in the same direction in our thinking. Anybody else?
I was going to say, it sounds, oh, sorry.
Go on, you can go first.
I was going to say it sounds very comprehensive as well. Since coming back from lockdown, we've been trying a new way of planning. Sort of, we'll start off as kind of calling projects, and now it's immersive learning, and it's, you know, very similar, linking the curriculum together again. It's got very disjointed, and you know, when you, especially with subjects like RE, when you just do them once a week, sometimes, you know, the children forget. And so some year groups are trying, you know, having an RE week where they'll do their RE, but then they'll also link it with English and, you know, the other subjects. So we're just investigating it at the moment, but it does sound really interesting.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you can see that they've used Sacre, they've used the syllabus a lot and they've just added to it. So it just seems really good. And I do like the idea of it just being fed through other, from the language and communication and fed through other subjects. And it's not just, like the one RE, but it feels like it's just going to filter out and grow, which looks really good. Sounds brilliant.
Yeah, Aisha, there's nice feedback for you. Aisha, anything you want to add in? I realise you're at the hospital and you can't necessarily. And then, and then I'll hand back to Marie because I can see Actor's got his hand up. Aisha's sound was on for a moment.
No.
Can you actually hear me?
We can now, yeah.
Sorry, the internet's not very good here. I just wanted to say, obviously, because I work at Kensington, I think obviously I have said to Claire it's a declaration of interest, but the fact is I work there and I love the way that we work, and I'm enjoying teaching in different ways. So just that actually, I don't think I should say any more because I actually work there.
Actor, what was your question, please?
Yes, I was just wondering, so what I understood was that you've got the subjects that will kind of spread into different curriculum areas and subjects. And for example, there may be a theme coming up in history or another subject matter that maybe overlaps, and so that will get coverage there. So I'm guessing from a practical perspective in terms of teachers training, because we have an RSC sort of specialist who's trained, knows the subject matter, and now we're expecting a maths teacher or a geography teacher or a history teacher to also appreciate and have maybe a depth of understanding. So I'm just seeing on a practical basis, how do we think that's going to work?
So because it's a primary school, we don't usually have the specialist teachers as we do at secondary. So what's happening, if I take Aisha as the example, when she's doing her planning, I think traditionally we've often just planned for English, and then we've planned for maths, and then we plan for that RE lesson once a week. What Kensington is doing is trying to look at the themes behind the learning. It's true of history and geography and English and maths and science. And if they can see a similar theme, if they can see some shared content. So for instance, in English, I suppose David's example was with Diwali. Instead of doing that story in RE, let's do that story in English, and actually let's do the vocabulary and the thinking and putting together and writing around that story. And actually that frees up some of our time in RE then to be able to maybe go a bit deeper with some questioning. So it's finding the links, finding the themes, but you're right, Actor. To be able to do that, you've got to have a level of religious literacy, and actually that is why I've been working with them, I suppose, on the facts finders and on the knowledge organisers to try and help teachers, because everybody isn't a subject specialist at primary, to give them some backup. And I think when we're writing our new agreed syllabus, we'll hear about that a bit later. One of the things that we'd identified is that we need to provide more support to teachers to that knowledge, because their ITE or their ITT time, if they're on a skit, isn't what it used to be years ago. Most of the ones I train on, Alicia can talk about hers in a moment, I get 3 hours to do RE, or sometimes 2 hours to do RE. And that's, the primary school teacher across the whole year, 2 hours, and now you're in the classroom with your class. They haven't got a lot of subject knowledge necessarily.
Okay, so Claire, do we need to have an official vote on this if no one else has any questions?
Yes, I think officially we in a way we don't. I'd love us to say yes, we want to endorse what they're doing. So I don't know whether it's an official vote, but I think the easiest thing is that we quickly go off to the breakout rooms we actually do that. Antonella, are you able to put people via their group or panel? Or if you make me the host, I'll do that quickly for you.
You should hopefully you should be able to do that as a co-host, but I'm not sure. Let me make you host.
Yeah, no, I haven't got breakout rooms on my screen.
You haven't, right? I apologise. Let me just quickly do that for you.
I can see Pooja's got a question just before we go off into groups.
Oh yeah, sorry, Claire. Just wanted to be clear before we go off on what it is what aspect or element or how much of it are we discussing about taking forward and implementing. So you know, they said they've sort of like shifted the order of what's taught around the units that are taught. Are we focusing on that as well, or just more on, you know, using the knowledge organisers and so
they're
on?
They're allowed to do their own order anyway. So we don't have to worry about what they're doing in order. I suppose they're fulfilling the Newham agreed syllabus. They haven't gone away from the Newham agreed syllabus. So the question really is about, do we like the direction that they're going in, this more immersive experience that they've been talking about? How do we feel about that? Because I don't think officially we have to pass it, because they are doing the agreed syllabus. But I think for them, what they would like, and the reason they came tonight, was they don't want to feel as if they are going away from what we want as, yeah, I suppose here, what we want. They want us to, they want it to be okay by us as well. So I suppose, you know, do we like the direction that they're going in is the question, really.
I can see Ruth's got a question as well.
Yeah, good evening. I just wanted to clarify, obviously the syllabus is one thing and curriculum design is another.
Yeah.
So being very clear that if Newham Sacre decided to send anything, what message it is sending out to other schools. Yeah, because as we've already heard and seen from the presentation, the foundations of what they do is so solid. So I suppose my question, I'm really a question, it's more a comment that actually I think we've got to be very careful what we say, because syllabus, if they're following it, yes, outcomes, yes, but curriculum design, my understanding was that is a school's,
yeah,
can organise the curriculum. So just to clarify that for
yeah. And I think that's what we're making a comment on. They're fulfilling our syllabus. They're not asking to do a different syllabus.
No.
What they wanted to come and see is, you know, how are we feeling about what they're doing in terms of curriculum design? Do we feel that that is a good direction they're going in? They've had a lot of conversations with me, so I feel the direction they're going in is good, because they're being thoughtful and they're keeping close. They wouldn't have been here, I suppose, if they didn't want, but they do want. I think Sacre's approval is important within the school. Parents trust us as a body, and RE matters in that school. So I think you're right, Ruth, to make that distinction, which is, yeah, what they were thinking of doing has changed as we've had the conversation. So over time, but yes, right. So you're going to go away and just for a very, very quick amount of time. And I am just going to assign you to your room. I'll make you host again now, Antonella.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. If it happens to be easier for you to remain host while this is all happening, that's great.
It's all right. They're all in their rooms now. So
lovely. I take it you and Marie are happy to stay on screen?
Yes.
Lovely.
You're muted, Marie. This is the most common thing on
conversation. Just looking at the timings and thinking ahead, when we come back, how long are we going to give people in the groups, and how long until we...
Literally 2 minutes, they're coming back. They don't need a long conversation. It's just very hard for them in their panels to all say, yeah, we're fine. It's easier to put them in a room and they say, we're fine.
Okay, I'm going to pop into my room now and see what they're saying.
Yeah. Antonella, if you
sorry about that, I'm on mute.
If you click on breakout rooms and broadcast a message to them.
Yes, sure. Are you sure you don't want to be host?
No, it's fine. Tell them in 10 seconds we'll close the room. And they'll have 1 minute to come back in. So
I'll just do that for you now.
Thank you.
Okay, that message has gone out for you.
Yeah. We'll count to 10 and then you can close the room.
Shall I click now?
Yes. Then they've got a minute to come back in.
The countdown has started.
Thank you. Other face, win the race. First back. Yeah, it's so lovely to see you. I can't, I'm trying to do it back to front. It's a rather blunt tool, breakout rooms. Once Antonella's clicked that button, the others will be thrown out at the end of the minute, whether they want to be or not.
We were mid-conversation.
It's a rather blunt tool, isn't it? Sorry, Joshua.
How are you, Josh?
I'm all right, yeah. How are you? Did you have a good Shavuos?
Yes, it was. It was interesting. Very interesting.
It looks like everybody's back, Claire.
Great. Marie.
Brilliant, thank you. So I think is there anybody from the Church of England panel that would like to share anything that they talked about, and is the Church of England panel happy to endorse what Kensington are doing?
I think we're happy, but we are still wanting to be careful about the actual words so that we wouldn't confuse any other schools of what we've done, you know. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
My colleague.
Yeah, I think we acknowledge the firm foundations and the way they'd come, but there's just a bit of concern over wording if any weaker school chose that way but hadn't had the relationship or the foundations that this school has had.
Thank you very much. Other face panel?
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar from us as well. So yeah, of course they're following the syllabus, the agreed syllabus, so that's great. Of course, we absolutely condone and support that, and we're delighted that they found a way of following it that suits their school and their other curriculum priorities.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
And what I would also like to add as well is it's great that a school would even care enough to come and ask Sacre, because that's probably not the sort of school that we're really worried about. The schools that we're really worried about, the schools that wouldn't even think about asking us in the first place.
That's some really good points. Thank you very much. And the LEA panel?
We had the benefit, obviously, of Aisha's insight and talked about how the students responded. We didn't get a huge amount of time to talk, but I was thinking that if we're looking at something like the golden rule being interspersed throughout the curriculum, that can only be a good thing. But definitely agree with the comments that have been made so far in terms of it is about the strength and the quality of teaching and how it's done.
Yeah, thank you very much. And the teachers panel?
Yeah, we're in favour. We think it's, again, if there's a firm foundation through the discrete RE delivered through the agreed syllabus, and then we feel that if the arms of that can reach other curriculum areas, that'll strengthen learning, deepen learning, and actually give it a relevance in the wider curriculum, which is only a positive thing.
Thank you. And we were saying that we trust that Kensington have a robust way of monitoring that things aren't being missed out, and their teachers do have the enough subject knowledge and skill to be able to weave it through all that they do.
Yeah, I think that's the ongoing challenge, and I think they're up for that. Just to, I suppose, make sure everyone's aware that in terms, as Ed said, it's not the schools that ask these things that are ever the worry, because they're wanting to get it right. It's the ones who don't. But we did place into our agreed syllabus the point that they had to follow our big questions and our smaller unit questions, but they don't have to follow the schemes of work. So they are following the schemes of work, but actually they're trying to be a bit more thematic with it. So as we come to rewrite our agreed syllabus, these are things that we have to think about. We gave that opt-out last time, and the point was that if they wanted to change things, they have to come to Sacre to seek Sacre's approval. And I think that's what Kensington have probably been overcautious about. But I thought because they would won School of the Year, and because there's good RE going on there, and Naina is a good RE coordinator, also they do have their REQM, they have a silver award as well. So, you know, it is a school in which, as we've all said, RE is taken seriously.
Who just got a comment or a question?
Yeah, sorry, I just want to add to what Ed said. So we were just speaking about how it is a strong model, but we just wanted it to be clear to other teachers that there's not an expectation to deliver it as it is in terms of the order. Just to clarify what I was trying to say earlier, the order that it's been done in order to fit in with the drivers, and similarly that they don't have to then go away and reorder everything to fit in with their drivers, if that makes sense. So that's an additional option.
Thank you.
And of course, we won't advertise this, so no other school will particularly know about this, but I do think it's interesting for us as we look at our review.
Lovely, thank you. I'm going to skip a little bit forward in the agenda, because I know Ross has been very patiently listening to the Kensington chat, but I know that he's here just to talk about Prevent, and especially tonight about the far right. So Ross, I didn't know if you would like to do your presentation now, and then you can obviously leave us for the rest of the evening.
Hi there. Yeah, so with the far right presentation, I think Claire outlined that you had a particularly busy Sacre today, so I was happy for that to be deferred until next time. But I thought within that it would be a good idea to update you guys about the work of the community resilience team and what we've been doing in Newham over the past year, especially with the challenging circumstances, to put it modestly, that we've had. So yeah, I can jump straight into sharing with you the update, and that shouldn't take more than 10 minutes because I'm aware that I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Thank you very much. That'd be great.
Do you need screen sharing facilities, Ross?
Yes, if that's okay, that would be amazing.
Sure.
Okay.
That's done for you.
Thanks very much. Okay, so I'm sharing with you a document that really shows a sort of general summary of the work that the community resilience team has been doing within Newham over the past year. Okay, so that's the financial year, so starting from April and moving onwards to April more generally. Okay, so to give you a bit of background for those of you who aren't familiar with what the community resilience team is, so our work fundamentally involves safeguarding. Okay, so our work revolves around a very specific form of safeguarding, and that's safeguarding individuals from being drawn into extremism. Okay, so within that, what that means is that in the same way that we don't want people being drawn into gang-based exploitation or sexual exploitation, we obviously don't want them being drawn into extremist exploitation as well. So that's part of the work that we deliver. And a lot of the work revolves around schools specifically, and also community engagement too. Okay, and we deliver many different workshops, both with staff and members of the public and pupils as well. And this goes into detail on some of the work we've done over the past year. So starting here, then you can see RAP training. So RAP training is our workshop that raises awareness of this as a safeguarding issue, and that's something that we deliver with staff across the borough, especially teachers. As you can see there, that's school engagement in the top there. We've delivered 62 sessions of that staff training in particular, and that's our main sort of staple of training, and that's been delivered to 3,462 staff, which is fairly decent, I think, especially considering the challenging circumstances of COVID, because at the beginning, I think everyone was adapting to that. As well as that, you can see there's some pupil workshops. So we deliver workshops with pupils. In primary schools, that's years 5 and 6, and we reached 230 pupils there, which is a success, especially considering that that was being delivered through Zoom. Additionally, so we've done some student workshops with secondary schools, and that sometimes includes assemblies as well. So depending on the needs of the school, they might obviously sometimes be too busy for a full sort of hour workshop, in which case a 15-minute assembly suffices in those circumstances. And as you can see there, 15 of those combined with 913 pupils reached there. Next, we also do briefings. So that often includes with parents and governors, and also specialist staff workshops. So for example, I have a master's degree in the far right, specifically in that form of extremism. So that includes neo-Nazism, white supremacy, or indeed anti-Muslim bigotry as well. And so we've been delivering lots of specialist work on the far right, because that's where I have my master's, and I've been very happy to deliver some of that work. And we've reached, as you can see there, 565 people there. We also did a webinar series around different forms of extremism, which was really, really useful as well. And as you can see there, we had 27 schools joining across 5 sessions with 198 staff involved. And so that gives you a sense of the overall education picture there within schools. Does anyone have any questions about that before I move on to the community segment? Okay. So corporate and community training members, this includes work that we've been doing internally within the London Borough of Newham, and additionally work with close partners, whether it's probation services, for example, or equally the police, and different agencies that we might work with or partner up with. Okay. As well as that, it includes third sector organisations in the community as well. For example, I do a lot of work more recently with West Ham Foundation, which has been very positive, but I'll come on to that in more detail later on. So as you can see here, there's been a good amount of training again. So 18 sessions completed and about 353 participants reached with the RAP training for staff and partner agencies there. In the third sector in particular, so that means community organisations more generally, so not anyone specifically tied to the council, but organisations that work in the community. We reached 7 of those, which included 89 participants. And so workshops for young people outside of education, we've had 1 of those and 8 participants there. They tend to be, as you can see from the figures, a little bit more difficult to get around the table, especially with COVID, but nonetheless, we did our best there. Finally, as well, specialist training, as I mentioned in the previous education part of it, involves my side of things, so the far right, and also been delivering more around the manosphere, which is a sort of online extremist community centered around often misogyny. Okay, so we've been trying to raise awareness of that, because that's something that we find individuals aren't usually aware of. So that's been something new that we've been trying to, as I said, raise awareness of. So in total there, you can see that we've had 32 events within the community and with partner agencies involving 650 people altogether. So that gives you a sense of the totality of the work within the community and with the partner agencies, with the council as well. And so here, this is just to give you a bit more detail about the kind of ongoing work that we've been doing as well. So the community resilience team is now represented on the following forums. So within the London Borough of Newham, we have what's known as the Multi-Agency Centre, or the MAC, where young people who don't meet the threshold for a CAMS support-based referral are referred potentially to community organisations who can provide relevant support. So for example, if a young person hasn't met the threshold for mental health support, they can then get support around their social needs. So belonging to a community, for example, feeling less isolated, and by passing them on to a group, say like West Ham Foundation or Newham Music or Fight for Peace or any other community organisation in Newham, that young person can be surrounded by a community which gives them better social needs support, and that can be really valuable for their mental health. So that's something that's just started very recently, and that's something we're very happy to be involved with. Additionally, as I mentioned, we're working alongside the West Ham Foundation. So I've trained many of West Ham staff around sort of far-right extremism in particular, and also the RAP workshop that I mentioned earlier, the general safeguarding workshop that I just discussed. And that's been really positive as well, because previously they've had concerns around far-right extremism. So going forward, this work has been a really positive step forward for them. So I'm very happy to be collaborating closely with them, and also doing some work in the University of East London as well, which is where they preside over a couple of courses there. So I've been very happy to help out their students on that course as well, and talk about safeguarding more broadly with them. So the next one there you can see is the All Age Exploitation Group, which, as the name suggests, seeks to develop support for youth at risk of exploitation. And given extremism is a form of exploitation, it makes natural sense for us to be on that group. So we're very happy that we are. Community Safety Partnership, again, as you can see, that explores close collaboration between a wide range of partners, and that's involved in many different aspects of community safety. So for example, that might involve the LEO officers, the liaison enforcement officers, who are around the borough doing things, dealing with things like fly tipping, all the way through to practitioners who might deal with victim support and that side of safeguarding as well. So it's positive that we're on that, because we can spread our message amongst colleagues that might perhaps not be as aware of the safeguarding issue that we deal with. And additionally, as you can see, also we're involved now on the Adult Safeguarding Board and the Children's Safeguarding Board, where we have a slot for presentations on a fairly regular basis. So that's been very positive in terms of bringing that work to our colleagues in adults and children's and raising awareness of this form of exploitation. So that gives you an overall sense of what we've been doing, and hopefully that gives you a sense of what we've been doing on a local basis, and I hope that's useful. Thanks very much, guys. I'll pass back to you. Does anyone have any questions?
I can see Axel's got a question.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Ross. A couple of things, I guess. One is, I was just thinking about the data you provided, just to see next time you could provide like a like-for-like comparison. We can see whether, you know, your workshops are making a difference, a number of people being impacted. So we can just see that. That'd be really useful. I guess the other thing that I'm just thinking is that, knowing sort of like prevent work in Newham and how the Muslim community took for it, there's a lot of focus on or not really focusing upon the online sort of aspect of extremism, and that's really where I think there's a lot of impact that happens, especially for far right sort of impact. So what are you guys doing in terms of working on managing sort of like the online material that's around that?
That's a really good question. So over the course of the pandemic, so as you can see above here, we delivered a webinar series, and part of that webinar series was actually specifically on what you talk about around online extremism. So we wanted to make sure that people were aware of, as you say, the risks, especially around the far right online. And just on a personal basis, because I specialise, as I said, with a master's in the far right, I wanted to make sure that that was being said as well. So that's something we've raised awareness of in schools. More broadly as well, the police have currently released a referral app specifically for online extremism. And that's something that I'm happy to link to. So if anyone has any concerns around extremism online, you mentioned far right extremism, for example, that's something that they can refer to. So that's something that's been a fairly recent development actually across last year, I think. So that's something that's valuable. Does that answer your question, Actor?
Yeah, I guess on a more national level, I guess you've got a voice there as well to try and impact sort of online sort of content and, you know, sensationalization, if I can say that word, of sort of any type of extremism. I think that's going to be really important to really impact this space. Yeah,
absolutely. I'll take that on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Pooja?
Sorry if this has already been covered. I just wondered, was there anything that sort of touched on the grooming aspect of things? So how sometimes that's a way of, you know, getting people in, especially where we're working with children. I think that's quite important. So is there anything that's been covered in all those workshops that you mentioned that touch on that?
Oh, absolutely. So our main workshop, as I mentioned, the RAP workshop, the workshop to raise awareness of Prevent, has a whole slide dedicated specifically to grooming and what that process is. Because I think all too often, I think with this issue specifically, there's a sense in which, unfortunately, it isn't seen as grooming sometimes. And so I think it's very important, as you say, to raise awareness of that, because this is analogous to many other forms of grooming in that it happens slowly and it's quite insidious and it's something that happens over time. And so we really hammer that point home and make sure that that's known about.
Is that okay, Pooja?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Joshua?
Thank you, and thanks, Ross, for that presentation. It was really informative. I'm sure you'll almost certainly be aware, but recently there has quite devastatingly been a huge surge around the country in incidences of anti-Muslim hatred and anti-Semitism. And I wondered whether that had been taken into account with sort of the way that it's weaved into this, because of course, in extremist circles, particularly online, that's where, and what Pooja mentioned as well, that grooming, that's where the sort of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism tends to be set in. And is that sort of being tackled alongside this as you're doing what you're doing in response to the recent quite worrying rises that we've seen this month?
Absolutely. So every quarter we are given a report by the police on the ongoing trends, both within the UK and the local area. And we use that to then inform the work that we're doing. So for example, if, as you say, around the time of COVID, naturally people have been opening up their laptops more because they haven't been able to associate with people freely, which is the case. It means that people are going to be spending more and more time online. And unfortunately, some people are potentially going to be exploited online. And so that's something we've been really trying to do, is to make sure that there is this awareness of online extremism and specifically engaging with people who can do something about that. So for example, if young people are accessing content at home, it's really important that we engage with parents, because often parents are going to be the only people around young people when that's taking place. And so we've made a real effort, despite, again, the challenging circumstances, to reach out to parents and to raise awareness of this across different schools. That's something we've offered through the schools.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you. And Chetna?
Hi, Ross. Thank you for your presentation. Just wanted to ask you, do you do the same workshops for the primary children? I know you visited our school before, but I just wanted to know whether you do the same sort of thing for primary, year 5 and 6?
Yeah, so obviously the different workshops are catered for different age groups, because it would be inappropriate to deliver a workshop that's designed for secondary schools for years 5 and 6. So naturally we cater the content to make sure that it's appropriate for the given age group. Does that answer your question, or would you like more detail around that?
Okay, Chetna.
I will contact you on that later on. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, if nobody else has any questions. No, well, we'll say thank you to Ross, and we'll look forward to hearing from you again next time.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, we're keen for Ross to do that training with us as Sacre members, because I felt then you're better knowing actually when you hear things that a Prevent are doing in the community or causing, actually if we've experienced, we actually know what they're doing, and that allows us to be sometimes spokespeople to say, actually, what they're trying to do, or that's not true, or I went on some training and this is what we did. And we know that Sacre have that influence in the community. So we're really grateful for, I'm very grateful for Ross's touch-in and for being at the end of the phone, and for us to be able to talk through many issues that appear within our schools at different points, as I've been looking after RSHE for the last 2 years. So I sort of feel like everything around relationships comes towards me. So I'm very happy to have people like Ross that stand alongside you and think these things through. So I'm very grateful for what you do, Ross. So carry on.
No, my pleasure. And as I said, I'm more than happy to come back to deliver some content on the far right, and hopefully that will be of use to you guys, and you'd like to see some of that.
Ross, can I just ask you to stop sharing your screen now as well?
Absolutely, that's fine. Okay.
Thank you.
Done.
Brilliant.
All right. Okay. Thanks, guys. I'll say goodbye now. So thank you.
Take care. Okay, so at 8 o'clock, an hour after our meeting started, we're going to have a look at the minutes from last time. So in your pack, if you've got it in front of you, it should begin, I think, on page 8, page 7, page 7. Okay, so we're looking at the minutes held on the 3rd of February, and we're just going to go through them page by page to make sure that we agree them. So everybody happy with page 7? Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. And 11. And 12. Pooja.
Hi, sorry, just on page 11, it's just a small thing. I think it's supposed to say Sacre, just in the middle it says Acre.
Is that on page 9, sorry?
Page 11.
Page 11, sorry. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so is that all right, Claire, to put an S into that bit? Okay. Thank you. Okay, page 13. Page 14. Page 15. And page 16. Okay, we're happy to agree the minutes from last time. Thank you very much. The next few pages are the terms of reference and code of conduct. Claire, is there anything you wanted to say about that?
Yes, I don't think I'm on mute though, am I? Because I've just minimalised you so I can see things. Yes, I felt that we needed to just reference our terms of reference. I think the last time we did it was quite a while ago, and I thought it's good every 5 years just to go back and have a look at our terms of reference and I suppose our constitution. So I feel I've updated it to fit with what we are doing. I don't think it goes against anything, but one of the things I have changed, and whether we want to make it even higher, but if you remember the last time we did this, we put our other faith panel up from 6 to 15. And I've just moved the teacher panel up from 6 to 8. We could make that larger if we wanted to. Obviously, the reason for that is where we've got really good teachers with REQM in their schools. We've been trying to encourage people like Charlene or Alexia to join us because obviously they're leading well on this. So what I didn't want was our constitution, our terms of reference, to stop us from being able to have people, but I don't want to make the group so big that it's unwieldy for us. So I just put it up to 8 from 6, and that fulfills what we have at the moment. But I think officially we've got to agree that that's okay, all of us. Or we start axing people.
Okay, anybody want to ask any further questions about that or raise a concern? No, Claire, looks like everyone's happy for that to go ahead.
So should we lift our hands to say, yes, we're fine with that? And then we have officially voted on this, and Antonella can at least see us. And thank you for those of you at your screen putting your hand up, or you can put it in the chat if you want to. Our code of conduct we worked on about 4 years ago, but I just thought as we were doing terms of references, I would put that in front of you as well. Is there anything that you think we should update or change on that? I think it's a good document, but again, as we were doing one, I thought we should look at the other.
Just to say that on the terms of reference, it talks about the teachers panel going up to 8, but on the other one, it says up to 10.
Ah, yes, there you go. So that, so do we want to, yeah, it depends which terms of reference you look at, because I've got an updated one and there's the old one. So yes, sorry, Marie, that's probably me when I was saying about the 8 to 10. I want it to go up to 10. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, looks like everyone's still happy with that one. Okay, could you talk to us please about student Sacre?
Yes, just to say we're having an online conference, Chetna. I'm billing you now as one of our online guests. We have recently been working, Katrina, who you met last time, has been working on with me with the videos that we made over a year ago on ecology. And what we've got on the 14th of June is we've got an afternoon where the pupils can come and meet 7 different local faith leaders and representatives and to talk about ecology. So Chetna is one of those. We're very grateful to everybody who always contributes, and we've got about 6 schools coming. So we're all online, we're on Zoom, but it's going to be good, and it's really nice that it's starting off again. So I'm going to be looking to see who might, from that, I'm going to be making notes as to who might be the new executive, because of course our normal pattern isn't in place because of the last year. And we have, and you've got it within your papers, we've got a plan for next year. And we're going to be carrying on the students' idea that they wanted to go into primary schools and to teach some RE lessons and to prepare some ways of going in and teaching. Alicia and her students were part of this project when we ran it about 4 or 5 years ago, weren't we? But the students, without knowing it, have come up with exactly the same project again. Love it. And so we're going to do that. And what's really exciting is it can work online or it can work in face-to-face. So we're ready for next year and whatever comes at us.
Okay, thank you very much. And then just after that, I think the page numbers might be slightly off, but I'm sure people can figure it out, that we have the Sacre priorities.
Yes, so for me, I think I sent out earlier, I've just sort of released on the 17th of May a big national report on Sacre funding. Some of you heard me talking about today how I was interviewed on the Religion and Media Centre for an hour. It went okay, and I shouldn't have felt sick for the last 3 days about it. That's my own learning. And what's interesting about that is that Newham was one of only 12 authorities that actually spent the 2% from the Central School Services budget as recommended by, as agreed with by the DfE from the Sacre's suggestion of 2%. It was a thought out suggestion, a reasoned suggestion. So out of the 151 authorities in England, we are one of 12 that met that. And we meet that every year. And that's part of the reason why we are a well-functioning Sacre, because the LA does actually fund us to be able to do the work. So that was good to see nationally. And I suppose the other thing that has the reports that has shown as well in terms, and some of you will have heard me say it, NATRE, the National Association of Teachers of RE, did a Freedom of Information request to the DFE around examination results last year, around GCSE, and we have the most pupils anywhere in the country sitting GCSEs at 77% last year, and we also have the best results of any authority in the whole country. And I think for us, for Newham, in the world of England, that's a very good result. Not only have we got the best results, but we've also got the most people sitting it. Thank you, everyone.
Definitely something to be celebrated. Thank you. Okay. Anything else you wanted to say about the Sacre priorities? But
we are going to have to look at our collective worship advice. And I think once we've got the agreed syllabus launched, hopefully next June 22, I think we have to quite urgently go on to review collective worship, because we will be just over the 5 years since we last reviewed it. That's because of the pandemic and work going back a year, so we're not really behind, but in terms of numbers we are behind. And I do think there's a really fresh sense, a bit like David was saying from Kensington, about the importance of well-being, the importance of values, the importance of people's well-being, and placing time within the curriculum for focusing on these things. And so actually I do think we can take a lead here. You know, we have pupils of all faiths and none involved in our collective worship. As we know, we have interpreted the laws, or interpreted the laws in certain ways to make it work here for Newham. And I think, again, we give a very good model that others could learn from, inclusive model for maintained schools and academies without a religious character.
Thank you. Anybody got anything? Is that a hand up, Ed, on your one? Oh no, that's my cursor, sorry.
That's not me.
No, it's me, ignore me. Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the working group for the agreed syllabus?
Yes, so thank you very much, first of all, to Sacre members and for particularly for Marie, who came to all of our many working group Sacre working party agreed syllabus meetings to help us think about and review our agreed syllabus. We've given you the report that Katrina made notes on those meetings and things that we learnt about the curriculum, and we're really grateful for Sacre's thoughts and comments, and all of those will be taken on board by me and the teachers that I'm working with in the agreed syllabus rewrite. So my focus this half term, a bit over the summer and into September, is rewriting the actual agreed syllabus document, which is the legislation that we need to do. So I'm hoping that in October and late November, December next year, Antonella, we have to fit in an extra meeting because it's agreed syllabus time. So we will need 2 meetings in the autumn term. So one sort of October time and probably one very early December or late November, I would suggest. If we follow similar patterns of what we've done before, where we will need to agree that text and have time to work through that text. Meanwhile, the teachers, Alicia is helping us as well from the university, and myself are getting together and thinking through what changes we want to see. And I suppose what I wanted to talk to you about is partly we've got to think through what we're going to call our new agreed syllabus. That's important, but part of what the teachers and I have been thinking through is about how we learn about RE and wanting to make our syllabus, I suppose, up to date with current thinking. So we will have heard from the core report 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, this idea of not talking about religious education anymore, but talking about religion and worldviews. And that's not so much about a name, it's about owning, I suppose, what we were already doing. And in our thinking, we are getting children to be aware of what their own beliefs are. They may be religious, they might not be religious, their own values. Where they flow from, and learning about other people and embracing diversity and difference. And so one of the things we've been working on is thinking about lenses that you might do your work through, thinking about, I suppose, what the latest Ofsted report talks about, different disciplines and in RE. And so I'm just showing you here the emojis or icons that my son has designed for us, so they're copyright free. This is how to put your children to good use in your work. And so when we're doing philosophy, we're going to sort of probably have that thinking brain. When we're doing history and looking at history in religion, we've got the clock, we're going backwards. When we're doing theology, we have got the book. When we're thinking about worldview, our worldview, how we see things, we've got the world. But also, we still want our RE to be about debate and discussion. We've got the microphone. We want to build pupils' empathy, that ability to understand others, which really we're looking at sort of psychology, sociology, anthropology as well through that. And also you can see the 5 senses. So we still want opportunities in RE where pupils get to touch things, see things, hear things, taste things, even smell things, and that experiential RE being really important. And so we've looked at a number of big reports on RE outside of core, big ideas in RE, looking at the Norfolk agreed syllabus by Kishore, and also obviously the latest Ofsted report. And all of these things are informing our thinking and the way we go forward. So we're feeling, I suppose I'm feeling now, I've gone through 6 months of rethinking everything and do we need to start again? And thinking now, no, we don't. What I think I've understood is we've been ahead of the game and other people really are catching up with us. And so it doesn't sound completely pride filled that I'm saying that. Alicia, can you be my backer up of the thinking through? Because I did go round in a big circle, didn't I?
Yeah, but absolutely ahead of the game, and probably a decade ahead of the game as well. So yeah, we went through this really thoroughly, looking at the reports and journal articles and what have you, and it's all there. It's all there. You can map it back to the syllabus. So it's looking great.
Yeah, and it's really great for me to have someone like Alicia alongside, helping me along the way. So you can see on here where I started to map. Alicia's done her own map, I've done a map of big ideas, thinking through this approach towards RE. And as Alicia said, we're really ahead of the game and looking at that long-term plan, what we provide. So yeah, I think we've done a lot of reflection, we've done a lot of thinking, we're about to get to the stage, as soon as I let the teachers go, in actually doing some writing now. One of the new units that we will be bringing in is Jainism, and we have a few people who are looking to join us in the future. We have Pradeep, who is one of our Sikh priests in Newham, and he would like to come and join us, and I think that would be great. We have a new imam at Masjid Ibrahim on the Barking Road, Amal. What's nice about Amal is that I taught him when he was a secondary school pupil. hilariously. So I think that's good. I think he went to Salisbury Primary and then Brampton Secondary. And that's where I know him from. And he's going to join us. And Himashu, who heads up Jainism quite a lot within the UK. And so he's very keen as well for us to maybe give an option of children learning about something completely new. So we might find a few new people as well looking to join us on Sacre.
That's really good news. Thank you very much. Okay, you can see Pooja's just put something in the chat about a typo on page 31. Claire's caught sight of that. Brilliant. Thank you very much. And you were going to tell us about monitoring RE and collective worship. Has there been any monitoring this time?
Yes. So what we did is I turned our normal form into a Google Doc, which means it's an online, I suppose an online form. And I'll just open up the form and show you. And so we've obviously, schools have got until the end of the year to be able to fill this out. So don't worry that you're not going to see, 60 schools having filled it out. It's fine. But the form sits online. There's one for primary, there's one for secondary. And as you can see, we've already got 16 responses, which is great because they've got another 7 weeks yet before it's supposed to come in. So what I did was I took the questions that we talked about at the last meeting, and I've made it into a form so it's quick and easy for people. And I've asked about each term, whether they followed the recovery curriculum that we sent out, whether they found resources that we gave them helpful, what they did in the spring term for their RE, and then in the summer term about how much Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, and thinking about collective worship and how they've done that, numbers of pupils withdrawing, and obviously a sign-off. So the difference is we've not given, I have got a paper copy, so some schools have still wanted a paper copy to fill in, take to a governor's meeting, get the sign-off, and then someone go online and fill in the form. And so I've got a paper copy that I can send people, or a Word document, and so they can choose whether they want to do the form straight away. When they submit the form straight away, I have learnt on Google how to make sure that they are emailed a copy of their entry, which means that they can send that to their chair of governors. Da, da, da. So there you go. It's all working really well.
Brilliant.
I hope I never have to go back to paper copies and putting them on a spreadsheet again. This is the way forward for me.
This year has taught us a lot, definitely. Could you tell us about the judging dates for our poetry competition?
Well, it's more that we need to decide some. So tomorrow is the cut-off point, and let me tell you, I'm just opening up a file, sorry, how many schools have entered so far. I'm going to get a flurry tomorrow. They're all going to send it tomorrow, aren't they? I told them they had till 4 o'clock, so I would imagine that I'm going to get a lot of emails at that point. So in terms of Key Stage 3, we have got 3 schools that have put into Key Stage 3. This is very exciting. If you remember, on Place of Worship, we never get Key Stage 3 entries. And in terms of primary schools, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 primary schools so far in. But those people are ahead of the game. So that's good. We've got 11 schools altogether, each of them probably sending about 10 poems. So you can see already with 8 schools and 10 poems, there's 80 to do. I have written some criteria for judging the poems. But what I want is I want some people who will now definitely have a read of them. The idea being that I will send them to you, you can have a read in your own time, and then that we come together and I think we should try and come together sort of before the end of June. So I would suggest looking at the week that starts the 21st of June, if that's okay with everybody. That's for judging. Obviously, you'll have time before that for the reading. And yeah, I think people need to tell me if they're interested in judging, and whether we have an after school meeting, an evening meeting or a daytime meeting. What would people like?
I was just going to ask, because since we are RE leads and we're sending our own entries, would that be a matter of kind of interest and should be zipping up?
Yeah, I don't think the teachers, Alicia, can, but I think the rest of you, you can't be part of the judging panel in the nicest way possible. I know you couldn't judge your own school, but I think, yes, we'll not use our lovely teachers at this point.
Open it up to the other panels, I think.
Yeah, you're doing the agreed syllabus writing, so this allows others on here to step up at this point, I think.
Excellent. Ed's volunteered.
Lovely. Ed, do you have a better day that week?
Do I have a better day? The week of the 21st?
Yeah.
Let me just have a look.
Claire, I'm happy to be involved if you'd like me to be.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you,
Same with me, Claire. I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Charmin. That'd be great.
And Pushpa as well.
Yeah,
fantastic. Thank you, Pushpa.
Unfortunately, I've got a school who've entered at last, so I can't. To be fair.
If it's during the day, Wednesday's the best. If it's in the evening or late afternoon, I can probably do most days.
So I could do Wednesday morning, or I could do later Monday afternoon.
Yep.
Bye, Christiana.
What about you, Ruth?
Either of those would be fine.
Later Monday would be easier than the Wednesday.
So, Charmin, if we were to put it at something like 3 or 4, is that too early for you?
4 would be perfect because obviously I'm teaching now.
Yeah. So could we go?
I'm all right from 4:30.
Okay, 4:30 would be best, but I've got a staff meeting till that would be.
Yes, same.
Sorry, what date are we looking at, Claire?
So the 21st of June, 4:30 to
yeah, that should be fine, yeah.
Yeah, 4:30 to 5:30 to 6. And then if we don't get it all done, then hopefully we'll get it done then. We'll get it done then. You'll all have to come with your top 3. Right.
Yeah. Brilliant. Hard decisions. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, meetings for next year and venues. We've got the dates on there. They've been checked against any holidays and holy days. So everybody, I think, just basically make a note of those, please.
We do need to put an extra date in though, Marie.
What would you suggest, Claire?
So we've got our October. So I think either the very end of November or beginning of December. I'd probably go for the first week in December myself.
Okay. What's the date of the Thursday in that week?
Yeah, so I suppose, Antonella, it's up to you. The Wednesday is, I think, the 1st of December, isn't it? And
yes.
The 2nd is the Thursday.
Yeah. Would you like me to check the 1st of December that it doesn't clash with any festivals? Yeah. Okay, so we'll say the 1st of December, subject to confirmation at the next meeting.
Okay.
And Marie, can I just say that we're, Sacre, the exec I sit on, are seeking clarification at the moment from the DFE about face-to-face meetings as far as Sacre goes. So at the moment, the legal team are clear in Newham, which is good, that the people probably, when we go back to face-to-face, So somebody like myself, Ed, Marie, and the councillors probably all need to be face to face because we have positions on Sacre. But the rest of you can still zoom in, is what we're looking at. And we won't go back totally to face, maybe ever, but we're waiting from the DfE. We might have a blended approach, and then that allows people like Ruth, who has a very busy diary and has a very long journey when she comes to be with us. Then it means that, and the same for Alicia actually, that it allows them to be part of us, and we get their expertise even if they're at a distance. So we are looking at that blended approach going forward, but we're waiting for the ruling from the DfE. It's all about whether Sacre is a council meeting or whether there is a Sacre committee with councillors on it. So the councillors come under the local government regulations, but the other Sacre members don't. So that's the legal teasing out that the DfE is doing at the moment.
Do we need to ask for volunteer places to hold them if we are holding them in person?
I think what we're probably going to end up doing is using the council buildings this next year, Marie, because we've got to do a whole load of health and safety, and we've got to make sure airflow. And I don't think it's fair to put places of worship and schools in that same way under. So I think if face-to-face come back, then actually let's make the council provide what we need in a safe way for everybody. Does that sound all right, councillor? Not unfair.
That makes sense. Okay. I know you wanted Ed and Alicia to give some feedback from the conference as part of our any other business.
Yes, they had to come through they did the conference on Monday, the national conference, and I just thought Sacre really enjoyed it, and I've spoken to Alexia, and again she enjoyed it, but I just thought it would be nice to actually hear from people who were there. You don't have to say
I really enjoyed it too. The theme of the conference was on authority and RE, and it started with a keynote from, it says Denise Kush, or Kush her name is.
Kush,
yeah. She was very interesting, and she really kind of highlighted the way that really authority really depends on perspective. Whether you're a child, there's teachers, then the authority, but the teacher might not feel like an authority and may look to others as the authority, etc. And it was just, that was kind of a really interesting perspective she put on it all. The best talk I think I went to was what's his name, Trevor
Cooley.
Trevor Cooley. Oh, it was fantastic on worldviews, because I'd always found what is a worldview and how do you define it, and I was always confused by this. And he just made everything seem crystal clear. And I think for that 1 hour he was talking, everything was crystal clear. And now I'm all muddled up again, and I wish I could explain it, but he's the person to speak to. Then there was the Ofsted inspector, Quay. Richard Quay, yeah, that's. I must say, I did struggle to follow him. I think his language, his choice of language, it seemed coming from the world of academic education, and it didn't really resonate with me. So I wasn't really sure what he was getting at. So that one I think passed me by. But overall, it was great. I really enjoyable, and I learned loads. So yeah, Claire's patience throughout the whole conference was just phenomenal. The sort of questions that she got, and people having trouble unmuting and turning cameras on and getting into breakout rooms, and having to repeat the same advice over and over again. So well done, Claire. Did a really great job.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would echo that. Claire was amazing. Yeah, there were technical hitches during the day, but Claire smoothed everything out so beautifully that no one minded at all. So it was managed really, really well. Quality talks. Yeah, Denise Kush was excellent on authority in RE and problematizing what that actually means. I also went to Ruth Flanagan's talk on worldviews in RE, and she was looking at what worldviews really mean and sort of unpacking the different aspects and what that means for RE. So it was good, really good day.
Ruth, you were there under another. I know you were there. Officially you weren't there as Newham. I think you were officially there as Essex, weren't you?
I was officially there as Essex, and so I sit on I don't know how many Sacres. I would echo all that was said, and well done, Claire, for your patience. That it was a trying day, but you did it really, really well. And I went to Worldviews as well with Ruth Flanagan. I found Richard Quay authoritative and clear, but I have heard him, and I will say, Ed, I have heard about 4 or 5 times talking about, and I think you get tuned in to some of the language, but I think your point is a very fair one for all Sacres to take forward as they think about how they impart some of this information to governors and those who are outside education. But it was a very informative day. I cannot believe it was only Monday.
I know. Tell me about it. It was one of the longest days of my life because I was.
So I hope you're having a break next week, Claire, having had media as well. So
this will make you all laugh, and I'm sorry for those of you who don't drink alcohol, but one of the things I did was I bought a pink bottle of champagne for next week. I will not drink it on my own. I am drinking it with others as it's my birthday next week. But that was definitely, I knew I would need that, Ruth. So I was like, I've got this. This is something I'm aiming towards enjoying later. And 2 things that I will do as an action point, Antonella, is that Trevor Cooling has got a lovely talk that he has already recorded for teachers about worldviews. So I will send you the link to that, because if any of you are interested, and Ed, if you want to reclaim the knowing what it means, you can listen to Trevor again. He's very easy to listen to, and you can always do it as a podcast, listen to it, you don't have to watch it. But also Ruth Flanagan, we had come, and the reason why I got her to do it at Sacre is that she did that for our secondary RE teachers last term or the term before, I can't remember. So I have a recording of that. So I will send you my link to her recording. Now, remember, that was at a secondary network meeting, and it's not for you to share elsewhere. And you need to fast forward through the riveting information that I've given them to get to Ruth's bit, and then you can watch Ruth's bits if you're interested. And finally, just to say, though I wasn't able to record, you're not allowed to record Ofsted, so I wasn't able to record Richard, but what I was able to do was record Denise and Charles Clark and Linda at the opening of the conference, and that will be on the Sacre website after half term, and once that's on there, I will send you the links to that. And the final thing that I can announce tonight is that, not that I'm going anywhere if you're beginning to panic, but that I am part of the Ofsted RE working group. So the Ofsted report that has been published is something I've been working on, we've been working on over the last year. And so there was a while we weren't allowed to announce who was on it, but we've now been allowed to announce. So I thought I'd tell you lot first.
Claire, can I just say, I took detailed notes of Dr. Richard Quay. I typed literally as he was speaking. So when I typed those up for Essex, Sacre, if you would like to have a copy, Newham, you are more than welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great.
Alicia, I saw you had your hand up.
I was just wondering whether it would be also worthwhile sending to Sacre members a little 5-minute animation by Emily Down, and she's been working with Bob Bowie and Trevor Cooling and Theos, and it's a fantastic animation which would work in primary and secondary, but it's also really informative for perhaps Sacre members who perhaps don't know too much at the moment about worldviews. And I think the animation sort of says it all, and will it's informative and very rich.
Yeah, that's Nobody Stands Nowhere. And it's only a 5-minute watch. And as Alicia said, it's beautifully illustrated. And I think Theos has done really well with that. It is beautiful, as Alicia said. So you could start with the animation and then, you know, go to Trevor and then go to Ruth. And if you want to put your toes in the water. Yes. And if I hit the headlines next week, you now know why.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Was there anything else, Claire, that you wanted to bring up today? Okay, I'll bring the meeting to a close then. Just say thank you to everybody again for all your time and your commitment to Sacre. It's really appreciated. And you know where me and Claire are if you have any questions before our next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh yes, enjoy half term if you're going to have a half term.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you. The live stream is